so we can really understand this. This is what comes to mind is Chief Seattle, who Seattle is named for. Chief Seattle says, what you do to the animals, you eventually do to yourself.
About 4 years ago, my daughter was experiencing a lot of abdominal pain, a lot of constipation. She had a bout with E. coli, sensitivities to foods, and we just didn't understand what was going on. Took her to 2 doctors, and they just basically said, well, this is the way she is. You know, just watch what she eats.
My vision was so bad, my headaches were so bad, I could no longer look at my computer. I could no longer focus on it. It was blurry. My head was throbbing. I was just in pain, and I literally could not function.
I was experiencing fibromyalgia for probably a good 10 years. And I was approaching it through natural health means. And so I had been making steady progress, but I wasn't satisfied with how I was feeling.
I could spend a week going to conventional medicine and get a lot of tests and get a lot of bills and get diagnoses, and at the end they'd either say, I'm not cynical, I know the process, they would say you could either do nothing about it, we can do nothing about it, or drink more water or something like that, or we'll give you pills, and I didn't want that. And so I chose to go to the Annapurna Center.
I was skeptical, a little nervous. It's not a hospital, you know. You want to protect your children. You want to do what you can for them. But nothing was working. So I said, all right. And we came and loved it.
I was very ill when I first got here. I had previously stopped doing drugs and alcohol a year before coming to the Annapurna. I had been going to doctors for severe abdominal pain, blood in my urine that was not related to any urinary tract infection or kidney infection, just trace amounts that couldn't be identified, and I also had spotting in between my menstrual cycle, and all of these symptoms came all at the same time in waves. And every doctor told me that they were unrelated. My doctor told me that I needed to go start seeing specialists for each of these things, and I couldn't afford that. I had been dealing with depression for a long time, and I had been put on antidepressants and mood stabilizers when I stopped drinking. And those helped my emotional state, but physically my appetite was low, and I was just lethargic and not connected to anything. I ended up calling Robin, and she was the first one that told me that all of those symptoms coming all at the same time made sense.
I think it's only when we're able to really jump the chasm of seeing our insides as the true allies that we have to be on this planet, that we do have the opportunity to really take our health into our own hands.
The Annapurna was written up in a local newsletter that's oriented towards health, and I happened to pick one up one day and read the article. And I had been sort of interested in raw food, didn't know what it was really all about, curious about it. And I really enjoy massages and reflexology treatments and kicking back and, taking it easy.
I heard about this center from actually years ago from a very dear friend, Jill Silver, who had been to the program before, and she just raved about it, had nothing but great things to say, said it's a life turner, it's an energizer, you have to do it.
I came to the Annapurna in 2002. I did my first 2 cleanses and had such an amazing response. I got my sense of language back and my memory back and my energy back. I started sleeping better. I basically got my life back.
I'm a scientist, and I've worked actually as a Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Scientist. I started out my scientific career there. And the conclusion among most of the people there was that most of the cancer, if not all of cancer, all types of cancer, were caused from environmental conditions.
It doesn't matter what your doctor calls your condition, it's all about a level of toxic load. And once you get rid of this toxicity, your life becomes charming. You start to feel like you've not felt in 30, 40 years.
At the end, it was brilliant for my daughter. She just kept hugging me, kept kissing me, and saying, "Mom, I just feel so good. I just feel so wonderful." And I remember the last day when we walked out here, she literally, downtown Port Townsend, was dancing down the street, and we were just laughing and giggling, and our bodies just felt so free.
Unfortunately, the toxins make stones in the bile ducts and clog everything up. So once we soften all of the debris in the liver and gallbladder and widen the bile ducts, it's very easy for the body to move out this debris.
I wasn't afraid of the process of colonics, having done them many times before. I was afraid of this idea of a huge flushing of the liver and the gallbladder. I just didn't know what that meant. And I had heard rumors about some of the things that you ingest to achieve this. So I was a little anxious about that, but when the time came, it wasn't difficult at all. Again, Robin was with us every step of the way.
For me, being trained as a surgeon, taking body parts out of other people and being told that, oh, if you have stones in your gallbladder, you have to have your gallbladder taken out. To see the stones that came out through this body at the end of the cleanse, I mean, there were stones that were quite sizable. Marble size, some maybe even a little larger. And not necessarily just soft and gooey, but firm. It was a big opening for me to let go of the hard and fast teachings that I was led to believe.
This is the process that happens. It's very gentle. It doesn't hurt. You might hear like a pinball machine at night when you're in bed with your castor oil pack on.
I had to count them, and those were the large ones, plus literally uncountable numbers of flecks. So very exciting to get that out, and really kind of fun. And I do have to say that the people were all wonderful, the other clients and the help that came in. So there was this real sense of camaraderie that really made it a great experience.
And the most remarkable part of it, aside from losing some weight and looking well and having people tell me how much better I looked, on the third flush, I remember going to bed and laying in bed the night of the flush and looking up at the wall and seeing a picture above the door that was very small, about the size of a postcard, and I couldn't tell what it was. So I got out of bed and I went up and I looked at it. And it was a stylized picture of a lion and a woman with the words courage under it. I thought, oh, that's interesting. So went to bed, did my flush. The next morning, after I had lost my stones, I went in to lay down and take a nap until lunch. When I woke up at lunchtime, I remember looking over at the door, and suddenly that picture that I couldn't see the night before was crystal clear. I could see every line of the picture. I couldn't believe it. In fact, I jumped up and ran inside and, Robin, I can see. It was so amazing. So I went to my ophthalmologist and had my eyes tested. I said, so tell me in numbers that I would understand what that means. And he says, well, last year your eyesight was 20/70, and this year it's 20/40. 20/40 is legal to drive in the state of Washington. The next thing he said was, and in fact, your astigmatism in your left eye has improved some. And I have no explanation for that. So I didn't put my glasses back on, and 4 years later, I went in to have my driver's license renewed, and I didn't put glasses on, and I passed the test.
So the process for me was easy, and the outcome has been pretty much lifelong. I've done 13 cleanses now since 2002, and I continue to do at least one a year, and I do some periodic cleansing in between with colon hydrotherapy. And another outcome for me has been that I used to get bronchitis and colds and flu and strep throat and herpes virus and eczema every year on a regular basis. And in 9 years now, I've had one tiny little one-day sniffly cold. So my immune system has been really pumped up.
It's been very transformational. So I just do want to say that it has really, I think of all the things I could have done, of all the time I could have spent doing anything, this is, I think, the wisest use of a week that I've ever had, and it's truly been a transformative experience. There's really no other way, and transformative physically, mentally, spiritually. It's just boom, my life has changed, and a world of possibilities has opened up.
I don't think that there's anything more important than your health, because if you don't have good health, you can't do anything else. You can't earn a living, you can't enjoy your family, you can't. You're just miserable. So this made such a profound difference in my health that I would say it's probably the most important thing I've ever done.